Mm.
Hello, everyone. My name's Hank Suttala,
And I'm Casey McBride.
and here's another fun episode of Stir Crazy Shamans. Welcome, everyone. Casey is really good about getting me to laugh, like right as I'm hitting the button to go live. I'm chuckling as we come on. But thank you, everyone. We had such a magical day yesterday. We went on a big hike in the valley and scoped out some amazing locations for being able to do some streams out in nature. So very, very excited about that. And if you're joining us for the first time in a while, we're doing things a bit differently. We don't have a topic to start out. We just follow the energy. So if you have a question, a comment, anything at all, go ahead and post it in the comments, and we are happy to follow the energy wherever it's going to take us.
Yeah, and I just remembered I have to. Oh no, I don't have to make it public. It's already public, so we're good.
Good. Cool. And another change, if you haven't been watching recently, is that we are now, after the fact, uploading all of our content to a podcasting service. So you can now search for Stir Crazy Shamans on your favorite podcasting app like iTunes and things like that. And thank you to whoever it was that gave us our first 5 stars. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Awesome up there. Right now we have 9 episodes. It's going to take me a while to catch up and put all the back episodes up on there, but they are there. Best place to find out and connect with that is if you follow the YouTube link on our channel page. There's all these little icons, and it takes you to the different streaming services that you can use. But it even works with like Android Auto and stuff like that. So you could ask your Android Auto, "Hey Alexa, play Stir Crazy Shamans," and it will do that.
But yeah, it was a beautiful hike yesterday. It was a little hot for my taste, but it was amazing just to get out into that. I'd never been to this particular trail in Cuyahoga Valley National Park before, but that's why I love when I can find like a park ranger to ask, because they know the scoop on all the good trails. And we were originally going to a trail that I'd been to many times before, but they had the parking lots completely blocked off. So it was going to be like a big hike along the side of the road just to get to the beginning of the trail.
And that is not fun.
Yeah, especially on blacktop and that heat. Oh no. So we were walking toward the visitor center, and we came across a park ranger, and I asked for a slightly less traveled path, and so she recommended her personal favorite path to us, and it turned out to be a very magical one.
It was, and found some really good spots and found some huchay pichay roomies.
Yes.
For those of you who haven't been following along with, we're both in an apprenticeship program. It's my 3rd time going through. Casey's first with my teacher, Don Zay Kerfman, and we had the homework assignment to go out into nature and find 2 stones that are heavier than they appear to be, and they are natural, what we call huchay pichay rumis, which is heaviness sweeping stones. And it's a tool that you can use in healing to pull heaviness out of people and cut cords and do different things like that. And so we both found some at this cool little river spot, which also is a great place to stream. So we plan to take
These are the ones that I found yesterday.
Oh, you found them? Great. Let's see. Just starting my little watch party here because I forgot. And now we got that going too. Cool.
And then we made a little Kintu offering to connect with the nature spirit. Oh,
yeah, that was my phone. Sorry, people.
That's all right. It was beautiful, and we came across some. What were they? Toads. That was fun. But there was at one point I was reminded of the importance of being very aware of your surroundings when traveling through the forest, because I was walking and my foot came about this close to stepping on a toad, but there was like a sense that something was under there, and my foot just stopped, and I looked down, and there he was. And so he is safe, hopefully still.
And yesterday marked the start of a very important time. It was my wife's first exposure to Casey, other than hearing these really goofy audio clips that we send to each other. And now Casey is wife approved, so we'll probably hanging out a little bit more now.
That's good.
And good morning, Mary Lee. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for sharing the stream.
Yes.
And what else happened yesterday? Well, one, my kids loved it because it was also an experience where we went out together as my kids, my wife, and Casey, and just had an amazing time and a lot of mud. It was kind of fun, like seeing we would get past something and then wait for them and just kind of see how they would navigate to try to get to the same place we got to. So a lot of good little Pukliai fun play. But if you're joining us, we're kind of flowing with whatever topics come up. So we're kind of talking about our day a little bit from yesterday, but what we really like is if you have a particular question about something going on in your life, you can make a comment or just offer something where you would like to see the conversation go, and we are happy to go there. Now, with Mary Lee, she didn't mean this as a topic, but blessings. This is something that is from Conversations with God. It's called the 5 Attitudes of Godliness. And the idea is that the concept of source energy, the concept of love is so far beyond words that we can't encapsulate it with just a single word. So the word blessing, the word gratitude, the word loving, acceptance, all those are really the same type of energy. And to the degree you can be grateful for something or bless something is the degree that you can be all the other things with it, allowing of it and everything else. So I'll throw that out there as a cool little thing from inspired by Mary Lee's comment.
So I wanted to share something from last night afterwards. I was watching a movie with my brother and went to lay down. And I don't know if it was something from the movie that we were watching or just, I don't know. But anyway, some uncomfortable energy started to kind of come up. And we had been, so I'm going to bring this up. We were talking about spoon bending and the technique you use to bend spoons, where you like run this energy back and forth in it like really fast. And this energy, I was having a difficult time using Shaman Chikui and all these other techniques to get it to move. And so I just started to run this ball of energy up and down my body with the intention that it was passing through this thing. And just all the other incredible, powerful things I've seen that we can do with energy. I was like, well, I can transmute any energy in the body, even this really stubborn one or whatever that I perceived it to be like, and just continue to do that. And then it kind of like popped, and I went and like reached in, and then I just yanked this thing out, and there was this dark, like, weird looking thing, and I just handed it to my angels, and I was like, okay, you guys deal with that. But it was amazing, like the feeling of yanking this thing out. It was like, I don't even know what to relate that to. Like removing some kind of crazy splinter, but way more emotionally intense.
Interesting. And do you think that was just something building up, or was that something from the hike?
I think it was something that had been building up for a little while. Yeah, but it felt very good to remove that.
And one thing to speak to that, like if you're having a heavy energy, whatever story or context you want to give around it to then deal with it is great. Because Casey's experience was kind of pulling out like some sort of entity splinter type thing, but it could also just be like your hands are magnets and you just allow that to pull out the heaviness. Like if you ever saw the movie X-Men with Magneto, the little particles of iron, like picture something like that, and then just handing it off to spirit. A lot of it is just identifying the energy and then creating whatever context around the energy that you'd like to then deal with it. And his was to hand it off to spirit guides, but you could also give it to the earth. There's a lot of different ways, and whichever ways you connect best with the spirit world are probably going to be what shine to you to deal with stuff like that.
Yeah, and that was something that as I was doing this, I realized, all of these shifts and getting rid of heavy energies and pain, emotional distress, all of that, it can happen instantaneously. You don't need to do anything really other than have the intent that it's going to shift. But for me, for whatever reason, it was so like dense, or I don't know how to put it. It was so uncomfortable that my mind needed some kind of context around it. So I needed to do something. So before, it was funny. I'm trying to like, okay, what do I need to help my mind like let go of this? So I was like, had my hands over the spot at one point, and I was like, boom, 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 and like just flashing energy and trying all this stuff that I'd never done before. And then I just had to reach in and like yank that thing out, and that was what did it. So,
well, I don't know. Maybe because we do this show, you're getting a little bit more of an elaborate thing in order to share with people, so they have awareness of how they can deal with stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. But that was cool. Like I said, that was the technique originally to get that to shift so that I could pull it out. So it was like malleable enough for me to move it. Was the technique that we were talking about of how you bend spoons, like metal spoons. So you run like a ball of energy really, really fast through it. And so I was like, well, if it works for spoons, I can make my own energy more malleable and then yank shit out.
Yeah, and Casey wants to bend spoons on air now, so we'll probably end up doing that. But when when I learned how to do it, I was going to school, the 2-year program at Fellowships of the Spirit in Lilydale, and one of the lady who actually co-authored the book with me, or I co-authored the book with her, however you want to look at it, was the one who taught us. And you just hold the spoon between your hands, and the way she described it, if I remember correctly, you just have a ball of energy that starts flowing back and forth between the spoon, just back and forth, and then the spoon gets warmer and warmer, and it will tell you when it's ready to bend, and then you can it's like malleable, like super malleable, like clay, and you're just like, and you can like just wrap it into a pretzel with like super ease. And my friend Dave was really good at it. He would take the tines of a fork and just be able to make them into little curlicues effortlessly. Pretty cool. But we forgot to clean up our mess, so we got banned from that guest house, unfortunately, because we like left them all there, and then guests that were there that weren't part of our group, they were getting weirded out by all the shenanigans happening at night, so we got booted. We had to go find someplace else to bend spoons.
Oh, that's funny. You know, I want to see that. I have performed acts of like psychokinesis before, but nothing to that like, I guess, visually impressive, you could say. Like, I've worked with the psi wheel, and I remember the first time I was working with the psi wheel, I sat there for like 3 days on and off, just trying to get that thing to rotate.
And what is a psi wheel? I'm not sure. I don't know, so I'm sure other people don't.
Yeah, so a psi wheel is you take like a needle, like I stuck it in like an eraser to get it to stand up straight, and then you take like a piece of paper, and then you kind of just fold it so it's able to balance on top of the thing, and then so it's like sitting there, and it can freely, easily spin if you were to touch it with your finger, but the point is to rotate energy or connect with it, and move the energy around to get it to spin. Okay. And yeah, so for like 3 days, I'm sitting there trying to like different hand positions and all this, and I was really trying to like use a lot of energy and force. And then it was finally when I just sort of let go, and I was like really became super relaxed and just allowed the energy to flow in a very like the opposite of forceful, whatever that is, just completely allowing it. And then it would start to flow, and then I would get to the point where, without moving my hands, I could, with my intention, start it rotating, and then stop it, and then start it and stop it, and change directions and all that stuff. So that was one of the more, but that took, it took 3 days before I got it to move at all. And like, there have been times when I've gone to try and do things now, and I just sit down for like 15 minutes, and then I'm like, it's not working, and I get frustrated.
Well, every time I go to a class at Fellowships, whether I'm teaching or taking a class, they have this big, well, now they changed the room around, they don't have these carpets anymore, but they used to have like this big round carpet. All during class I would just sit there and focus on this carpet with the intention to like make it float or something like that. But I've yet to do it, but I still putting my effort into it every time. But this is really akin to like pendulums too. Like pendulums, you get to swing, and if you wanted to not have any possible physical manipulation, you can put it on like a banana stand, like what you would hang up and just tape it, and just put your fingers on the tip of or on the rim of the banana stand, and that way you're not actually able to swing it at all, and it's just with your energy that you start to manipulate the pendulum then, and that was a great starting point.
That's another one. Actually, it was from this lamp sitting next to you. Guys can't see it, but this little like desk lamp sitting next to me, I used to hang a pendulum from it without, and I wouldn't touch it at all. I'd just like, it'd be here, I'd be over here, and moving the energy, and I could get that thing to swing and then like go in circles and all that stuff. That was another thing I used to play. Oh, and then I had, this is a different room. I don't know what I'm pointing to. Not the same house. But there was a ceiling fan, and it had like those little like chain things that you would yank on, to turn the lights on and off. And I would sit there in bed, and I would just use energy like from my bed to the ceiling fan, and just get that thing to start to swing with energy. And so that was a cool thing.
If you're a Reiki healer, or anybody who's listening who does any sort of energy work, put something in your room right above the table where you work at. And the reason I say this is we used to have access bar classes at this old, it was a church that got converted into a financial office. An investment guy that I know, he used to be my landlord for my old office space. And the sanctuary he had left alone, and he would rent it out for workshops, so we'd rent that for our bars class. And whenever we started doing the work, they had like these big lights. If you ever been to church and you saw those like lights that hang down on like a little pedestal kind of pole, I guess, these things would just be swinging like crazy. Like as we started doing the energy work, it would just be going like in a huge circle. And it's like, wow, like to the point where we're worried, like, are these things going to come crashing down on our heads? But if you do any sort of energy work, it might be interesting to hang something like that from the center of the room and see if while you're working on people, you're getting some sort of energetic effect because it's picking up on whatever's happening.
Mm. Yeah, and I know like one of the things I like to play with a lot is aerokinesis. So they're like they have different words for the different like things that we manipulate using energy, and like for example, pyrokinesis is the manipulation of flame using energy. Hydrokinesis, manipulation of water. Aerokinesis, obviously, is the manipulation of the air. And like wind, but it's one of the easiest ones to start to play around with, and it's all really just our mind, and and what so for example, the air we know is this very how to put it, it's not a very dense vibration. It's something that we can easily all manipulate just by waving our hands, right? So in our minds, it's a little easier to manipulate than for example, like trying to levitate a cup or something. So what you can do is go out, and it's good to go out on a day when it's not completely dead wind, but it's also not very windy. And then wait, and you'd be amazed. There are techniques you can use, different ways of going about it. But sometimes just having the intention for the wind to start to pick up, you'll notice like a correlation. It'll start to pick up, and I've done it many times on days when the wind's been completely dead, no wind at all, and I just start to. What I'd like to do is just kind of reach out and connect like really far behind me with all of the energy in the air, and then just like pick up the flow of energy from behind outward, and then it'll almost always start to really pick up and start to blow.
And so something hand in hand with that would be in shamanism, we would, specifically the Karo tradition I'm speaking of right now, you would petition nature spirits to do different things for you. And as an example, we were at Florida last November, right at Thanksgiving for a couple weeks, and we're out on the beach, and the kids had these like boogie boards, I think you call them. Like you go out, it's kind of like a surfboard, but you're not standing up, you're just kind of staying flat on your chest with it. And the waves weren't really all that great. And my kids came up to me and said, "Daddy, can you ask the ocean for the waves to get bigger?" I'm like, "Well, no, but you can." And I walked them through a whole thing to offer like a kintu to the ocean and petition the ocean to give them bigger waves. And so I had them all do that. And then lo and behold, like we started getting much, much bigger waves. And so what we were doing to manipulate the water was actually ask the spirit itself, like, "Hey, can you do this for us?" So that's hand in hand, I think, whether you're doing it with just your intention. And who knows, when you're doing that wind intention, what if you're connecting with the nature spirit without even knowing you're doing that? And the nature spirit is what is actually, allowing the manipulation to occur.
Well, and I know when, like just in doing my shamanic healing work, I used to use my body as the vessel, and I'd really hold this intense kind of focus when running these energies and doing this manipulation, and that would oftentimes, like, it would have amazing results for people. People would experience huge energetic shifts and powerful healing, but then I would be like totally fried afterward. I'd have to take a lot of time to ground, and I wouldn't feel right for a while. And then one day I thought, okay, well, why do I have to be running any of this energy through me? There are all these guides that I can see around. So I just started asking, hey, can you work on this part? And then like an energy would show up like above the person. I'd be like, hey, are you here to help with that? And then be like, yes. And then I'd be like, all right, do your thing. And so I'm just sitting here kind of orchestrating, like, okay, you go here, you go here, you go here. But it takes zero effort on my part to do that. But the healing, since I started doing it that way, instead of like with this intense focus and running the energy through my body, the healings for the clients that I work on have been way more effective and powerful for them. And it takes no effort on my part to do it.
The analogy, I like using this analogy, and it feels really fitting for this, is I think of the shaman, or anyone really. You are the conductor of the symphony of the universe that you're in. And imagine if you were trying to play all the instruments yourself all at once. You just can't do it. So all you're doing is directing the energy flows, but it's you that's creating or helping to facilitate the creation of the symphony that's occurring for the person or for whatever you're doing.
Absolutely. And so I was just thinking that now I want to try and do that with like playing with the the wind and other things too, instead of just with healing. What other fun can I have with using energy that way instead of me being the one to try and run the energies?
When we went out for our stones for the program, we had to go pick up like 4 different stones for the different elements. And when we were getting our sunstones, we were both at Holy Love Ministries,
Oh yeah.
and it was kind of a cloudy day. And Casey had found this one stone, and he had his eyes closed, and he's holding it up to the sun. And at that moment, I had happened to pick one up too, and it was like the clouds parted, and like we just got beamed sundown on us, and it's like, yep, those are the sunstones.
I don't know if I told you this, but when I was doing that, I wasn't 100% sure if that was supposed to be my sunstone, so I held it up, and I looked toward the sky, and I went, if this is my sunstone, show me the sun. The sky opened up, and there was the sun. So yeah. Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, so that just another, like, it doesn't have to necessarily be to develop these abilities to manipulate nature spirits, like this intense focus or anything like spoon bending, where you have to do that like whole technique. It's a step of allowance, and also using all the resources around you, and also not just to necessarily do it for, well, spoon bending, you're kind of doing it for the fun of it though, but like in all these examples, we actually had a purpose for doing it. Or one of my favorite stories to tell, I love that Max remembers it so well. My father-in-law had come from Germany, and we had just built up a fire. It was just starting to really get going, and then it started raining. And in his broken German accent, he's like, "Oh, what a pity." And I'm just like, well, we'll see. And I went inside, got my mesa, and I'm calling in the starlight. Yadi cheska kuna ompli, like calling in the starlight for our fire, and not really having a point of view what would happen or not happen. But it stopped raining by us. And if you looked at the radar, there was like this one spot in Westlake that was dry, and there was rain everywhere else, and we could actually see the stars above us. And he's like, it is unbelievable. But it was like, for him, that was like a magical moment that he'll never forget. And my son also never forgets. He always is like, Daddy, that was so cool, like when that happened. And it's like, you never unknow the magic. But there was also like, when you have a need for stuff like that, just to be open to asking and seeing what happens, but not just necessarily for the well, I guess you could do it for the heck of it, why not? But
well, I think in doing it for the heck of it, really what we're doing is we're giving ourselves and others this very, very tangible experience of how energy and spirit can affect everything on a very physical level. And so in a way, it's like just helping to like reinforce what we already know, or to show, sort of give proof to people that may be like skeptical, which some people need to see something like that in order to really get over certain judgments they have about things. And some people will see irrefutable proof of you doing, like, levitating a person off the ground, and they'll still find an explanation for it.
yeah, magicians have been doing stuff like that for a long time. So,
but yeah, no. So I think no matter what the reason is you're doing it, it's all just deepening that connection, developing more of an understanding of ourselves and our true nature, which is the same as the nature of everything around us. And when we are for bending a spoon or moving the wind or whatever, we're not manipulating something outside of us and separate from us. We're learning to connect deeper with aspects of ourselves and communicating with ourselves more deeply.
There was a scene in the I think you've seen the movie The Matrix, I believe, right?
Have
that
the
whole thing with the spoon, and they're like, well, it's you have to realize the truth. He's like, what truth? There is no spoon, and it's you that are bending. So you're the one bending outside of the relative rules of this duality, and allowing something different to occur outside of the rules. Just like Elmer Fudd running off the cliff and not falling until he reads about gravity. Like, some rules can be bent, others broken.
I was just before we came on, because I was thinking of the spoon bending, that exact quote. That scene ran through my mind, where she's sitting, the little girl sitting there bending the spoon, and Neo's like, I don't know, she asks her something. She hands him the spoon, and he's like, I don't know how to do that. And she goes, do not try to bend the spoon. That would be impossible. Only try to realize the truth. It's like, what's the truth? There is no spoon. And it's just so cool the way they do that scene. I need to watch that movie again. It's been a long time since I've watched that. But
Oh, that thing is riddled with all kinds of things. And right after that, the same thing, like he comes in and she says, watch out, or don't worry about the vase. And he knocks the vase over. And then she's like, well, what's really going to bake your noodle? Would you still have broken it if I hadn't said anything?
Oh, that is an excellent movie, man. The second two, yeah, but the first one, I don't know. I never like the second two, but
I've never watched the third. I don't know. I the first one was really the gold for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't be opposed to having a Matrix marathon day. Too bad we can't like watch the movie and do commentary at the same time. I think they frown upon that because we could like do a screen share playing it, but I'm sure YouTube would give us a big old copyright strike for that.
Right. Well, we could pay for a temporary use of the movie.
Well, what is possible? How much would that be?
Right.
Well, let's look into it. Or if anybody's watching that's in that industry and knows how to even go about doing something like that, please drop us a note. And for that matter, also, if you have any comments, let us know. Mary was saying bent spoon by thinking of butter melting in the microwave. So she was using like an anchor association with how a microwave melts things to bend the spoon. So Mary Lee, I'm curious, have you actually bent spoons, or is this just a inspiration of how to do it? That would be kind of cool. I'm sure there's more than one way to do it. There's just it's just a matter of whatever allows you to settle into the space of allowing it to happen, whatever the method might be.
I want to try this, Hank. Maybe we need to do this.
We just have to buy some because if we go like use my wife's silverware, that will be bad.
We can run out the dollar store across the street from me. Run up there.
Yeah, that's what we did in the old day. We bought we bought knives, spoons. We bought them all of it just to play around and see what would happen. But Dave was the best at it, just little taking the tines of the fork. And the one thing, if you're thinking about spoon bending, it's not like in the Matrix where you were just holding it and focusing on it, and the spoon's bending on its own. While that is very likely possible, it was more like the spoon's composition changes and becomes very pliable or malleable, I should say, and you could just kind of crush it like a can or just manipulate it. And she's like, that's how she did it. So we got to get Mary Lee. Mary Lee, you can be on an episode. We can do some spoon bending together. That would be kind of fun.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Why not?
No, okay, so we were talking about that yesterday. So the most reoccurring theme in my dreams since I was a child, I remember way back being really young, having dreams where I discovered the ability to use telekinesis. And I've had that theme regularly throughout my whole life, and even just last night, where I'm like sitting there doing something, and I'm just starting to feel the energy of an object, and then all of a sudden I get it to move a little bit, and then a little bit more, and then I get it to like levitate and do all kinds of things. But last night was a really intense, long one, where I was like just levitating things and all this, and then I got I don't know who, but it was some teacher was with me, and I don't know, I've never seen this person before in the physical, but they were like kind of showing me how to move things, and then we opened up a portal in the room that we were in, and he, like, his ethereal body left and his physical body was doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and then I started like manipulating more and more things, and then like I got like burnt out or something, and I ended up in a coma for like 3 days, and then woke up out of the coma and like couldn't really walk all that well. So I just started using telekinesis to like levitate my body so I could like walk along. And I remember I was just walking down the street with my brother and my father, and they were just walking, and I was just using telekinesis to float. And it was like not a big deal to them, though. They were just like, you should take it easy, you should probably walk and not use as much telekinesis. And I'm like, yeah, but, but it was really interesting. But no, but I just thought that was, and I've always wondered, like, what is the reason that I continue to have those dreams all the time of me discovering the ability to use like really powerful.
It's clearly something that you want to do, right?
Right. So I think maybe Spirit's telling me that, and that I always think that would be really cool. One, my whole thing is if I get to the point where I can like push objects and things like that with energy, I would have such a fine-tuned grasp on energy control that like when doing healing, like getting rid of blockages, pain, discomfort, whatever, I feel like would just be so effortless. Like if you can manipulate the physical, apply that kind of same energy control toward healing, and like boom, that's like effortless. And then also it does, like I said, it's that physical demonstration. And I think that can be, for even people who maybe are coming to you for healing, people who don't have any concept of like, I don't understand really how energy can, like, what do you mean energy is going to, get rid of this or help me? Just show them, okay, well, watch this, like knock something over. Like, okay, there's energy. We're going to use that to clear out the blockages and things. Watch them, watch their, perception of that change. So I don't know. Maybe that's what my dreams are telling me. Time to master telekinesis.
It's all going to start with spoon bending on Stir Crazy Shamans.
Yes.
And there's been twice as a kid that I've had, I don't know if it was me moving it or just the observation of it happening, but there was one time where I was camping with another family and I had just had the thought about wanting to get the bubbles to go blow bubbles or whatever. And the thing slid across the entire picnic table over to where I was standing or sitting at. And I was like, oh, and then I sat there for like 10 minutes, like trying to do it again, and it wouldn't happen. And I think I've told this story too, where I was outside and I have one of these little wood people, like a toy that had the hollow thing where you put it on a little peg. I forget what they were called, but I was outside and I was just throwing it up in the air and it would land, throwing it up in the air. And then I threw it up in the air and it just stopped and it was just up above me. And I'm like, remember looking at it like, what, how do I get it back? I don't know what to do. And then when I wasn't paying attention, it fell and hit me in the head. And so I don't know if it was me doing it or a spirit messing with me.
Just a glitch in the matrix. Right,
yeah, glitch in the matrix. Like somebody hit the pause button, but only on that, and everything else was going. And it's like, what?
Maybe everything paused around you, and you were the only one moving. Maybe you stopped in time.
With the time manipulation, that is possible. Who knows? I don't know. That explains that one. I don't know about the bubble one. Or maybe that was just to give me a taste of it, that I know I've had those experiences, that it will help open up the window to being able to develop those types of abilities, because I've seen it happen. I know it can happen. Right. And other ones that are a little bit more interesting, but it doesn't feel like to talk about now. But anyway, I've seen things get manipulated where there were physical happenings, and it's like, wow, there's definitely a lot of power and potency in the universe to be able to lift things and move them and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's that's such a cool subject. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna come on here one day and we're gonna be like just levitating things, and it'll be a whole different ball game.
That would be fun. Yeah. Let's see. Anybody? Oh, and also from people who are watching on the shared streams, because I know we share this with a couple different streaming groups as well as our own personal pages. If you're commenting there, we don't see it. It's got to either be on the YouTube channel. There should be a link in the description, or if you go to Stir Crazy Shamans, we'll see the comments from those places. But if it's on one of the places that it was shared to, we don't necessarily see that. So if you are trying to make a comment and we haven't been responding, we're not trying to ignore you. We just don't see the comments unless it's from certain places. So make sure it's YouTube or the Stir Crazy Shaman Facebook page, and where you will love to interact with wherever you like the conversation to go.
Indeed.
Indubitably.
Now I just want to go out and like do aerokinesis and play with energy manipulation.
Could do that later in the afternoon for me, possibly. We got some chores to do. Kids, it's our last week of homeschooling. So
that's exciting.
So excited for this. Teachers are way underpaid. I will just say that. They do a wondrous job with kids. I don't even know. And they're doing it with like a whole group of kids. Like I have trouble with just my two kids. I can't imagine having a classroom full of little people trying to get them to all do the same thing at the same time in a controlled way. That's a miracle to me. So if you're a teacher out there watching, thank you for what you do. You're very underappreciated in my mind. Maybe not anymore. After this year with COVID and everybody doing homeschooling, maybe that will change. So anywhere else to go, or we kind of fizzled out?
I don't know. That was good. That was a really good half hour just now. Maybe we should wrap it up there.
Yeah. Oh, and we can always, if we got an inspiration later, there's nothing to say we can't do 2 episodes in a day. So who
Right.
knows, right?
Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're watching, if you have comments for future episodes, please do message, and we will speak to that on the next episode. And we will plan to be on tomorrow, possibly tomorrow's Wednesday. No, today's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday.
So,
Maybe with a
today's
guest
not
tomorrow.
Wednesday. Today is Tuesday.
Today's Tuesday.
I think.
Oh, yeah, because yesterday's Memorial Day. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what day it is. We just had a holiday, and I still don't know what day it is. Oh wow. Okay. Well, on that fun note, I should go get a calendar, maybe. No, but seriously, if you would like to see a particular topic, please comment and let us know. Presuming that Casey schedules free Thursday morning, we will have a guest. Her name's Shauna, and she does like this amazing group for women empowerment and emergence of being and all kinds of fun stuff. So we plan to have her on Thursday, and Melissa from Goddess Lead eventually. We just have to make sure. It's hard because I try to connect Casey's calendar and her calendar, and then I just don't seem to be doing it well. So maybe I should start a group chat and and do it that way. And maybe spirits play tricks on us. That is very, very true. That is possible. I think spirits in general, like you have people all the time where their keys are missing and then they're there. The lady who just came to my concert, she knows that her mom in spirit messes with her, and she just saw her keys, and the next minute they're gone, and she'll say, "Hey, mom, put them back," and then they're there again. So definitely manipulations from the spirit world, just to let them know. Sometimes it's just a cry in a way like, "Hey, I'm here, just acknowledge me." And sometimes we're so busy that we're not, and those things are meant to make us question and eventually hopefully slow down enough where we can have the awareness that spirit, those relationships never ended, they just changed form, and they are just interacting with us a little bit differently if we're willing to be aware of it. What kind of relationship did you have with all those people in the spirit world?
Mm-hmm.
Just food for thought.
Oh, and that is a magical thing. I mean, it doesn't even have to be with your like relatives that have passed on, but what about your angels, your animal guides, your plant guides, the elemental beings, the fairies, all the other,
or just cool people and like Tesla, man. Like what if we hanging out with him in spirit? That would be like, what amazing inspirations could happen from some of the greatest minds, ascended masters, all kinds of fun stuff. If you're but willing to be open to dialing your radio in on some new frequencies, what could your experience be in this world? Yeah. But on that fun note, please comment, and if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel yet, please do so, and also check out all the audio podcasts. We're still uploading from the archives. I have like 7 to upload a day, but all of them are going to be there. You can download them on MP3, take us with you wherever you like to go, out into nature to do ceremony and all kinds of fun stuff. So please, if you are more of an audio person, take advantage of that and give us 5 stars if you like. On iTunes, we got our first 5-star rating the other day, so that's kind of fun. Anything else? Any final thoughts?
No, I'm just going to be present.
Yep. And you're
that was my way of getting out of no.
No, you don't have to give a final note.
With all of this talk of telekinesis and all this stuff, I know there's a lot of people that have serious resistance to that idea, and even people who are relatively open to working with energy, even people that do Reiki and other things. Still, there's this huge block mentally that happens when it's like, okay, well, yeah, we can affect energy with energy, but the physical, that's a whole different thing. Well, all of this is energy, right? So yeah, I mean, just don't limit yourself on experiencing incredible magic just because you have the belief that someone told you it wasn't possible. I think we can do just about anything if we're willing to allow it. So just be open to whatever magic you can experience in the moment. I don't know.
I'm going to take something from one of my favorite books is called Being You, Changing the World by Dr. Dane here. He's an Access Consciousness facilitator, one of the co-founders actually. And he would give the example all the time that this wall, science tells us, is 99.9% empty space. And what if your limitations are the same way, that most of it is this empty space that if you're willing to just be an allowance and step through it, the only thing really holding back is your point of view that you can't. But everything in science tells us 99.9% empty space. Like, what if it's as easy as just having that awareness being an allowance and then just moving through that limitation? So very fitting with the topic today about telekinesis and all those other fun things, about allowing and just being in the space that anything is possible. Set aside everything you think you know about everything and anything, that you might have a new experience and experience the truth that there is no wall.
I love it. So thank you all for your energy and your attention. I thank you, thank you, thank you.
A Nike, a Nike, a Nike.